everyone, welcome. Firstly, I would like to give an acknowledgement of country to the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation on whose lands we are here. And we want to start with Shubhi, Niharika, Iju, who's a staff member of Latrobe, and I, Monty. We won a student experience grant from Latrobe University, and we had an idea that when we were living on campus, we would see a lot of our flatmates just rely on things like an instant noodle or a microwave meal for everyday sustenance. So not just for convenience, but every single day that would be a meal. And my flatmate, in fact, was an engineer. So I was like, oh, if the engineers of this country have to be fed well, this is not how it should go. So we thought, let's come up with a toolkit where I love cooking.
So today here with us today we have Mark. He works as a farm buyer at Natura. Natura is a fresh produce company obsessed with seasonality and flavors and also works with small farms. So he'll tell us more about Natura. He's the best at it. And let's see, he must change our perspective on how fresh fruits and veggies are. Hi.
Thank you very much. So I'm from a company called Natura. We're essentially a wholesaler, so we're sort of behind the scenes, but we buy produce directly from farms and then we sell it and provide it to chefs and restaurants, David being a very good customer of ours, which is how this sort of all happens. Pretty much what we do, obviously you can find produce in many places and supermarkets and things like that. But what we do and how we're a bit different is we work with a lot of kind of smaller farms and a lot of farms that sort of grow in more sustainable methods. So whether that's like organic or biodynamic or don't necessarily have certifications. But what we really do and pride ourselves on is really getting to know and build relationships with the growers that we work with. And we really sort of seek out growers that are kind of growing for flavor. So flavor is really like our main driver in everything we do. And so that can fizzle down into lots of different things, sort of like how people grow things, the type of varieties that grow things, or even the climates that they're in and whatnot. It's a very rewarding job. And I think, sometimes cooking can definitely feel a bit scary or a bit labor intensive, and it can be easy to go and kind of just have something very convenient or fast food and things like that. But I think once you find produce that's really delicious, you kind of become a bit addicted, and it's a bit hard to go back. So we just sort of are out there to promote, like, to chefs and to restaurants that there are other options than kind of more like conventional big agriculture of things that are available all year round, and really focus on, there are ways to get really delicious, more seasonal produce as well. So we have a cool little activity set up for you guys today. We have a little bit of a blind tasting set up. Okay, so we have the same produce on a plate. Some is from us and from growers that we source directly from. I can tell you all their names and where they're from and how they grow these things and stuff like that. And then the same produce, essentially we bought at a supermarket. I'm sort of curious your thoughts of trying some of these things, also seeing how these things look, what you sort of would prefer.
So now we are very thrilled to introduce Chef David to you all guys. He's worked with like very many top chefs like Gordon Ramsay in London and many renowned restaurants in Mexico. Hopefully after this session, you guys know that cooking is not that scary. Let's give a round of applause to Chef David.
Hello. Thanks everyone for coming today. The idea is to kind of take away the mystery of cooking, and this recipe today is designed to maybe cook with a few friends. And someone mentioned earlier about washing up being a bit of a chore. It kind of starts from the shopping right down to the washing up. It's an economical dish where you can use the whole chicken. We're going to use every part of it. We're going to make a stock with the bones, cut the bird up and marinate it, or a dry brine on it, and then we'll serve the soup. So we're going to utilize everything and really aim not to waste anything that you're going to be purchasing if you were to make this dish. I've worked with Mark and the team at Natura for a long time. maybe 6 or 7 years now, and it's really great to see this produce out here today, because really the markets and the farmers write my menus for me, so they make my job really easily done. I kind of move with the seasons, and I think this is a nice kind of spring dish we're doing today. So we've got whole chicken today. First thing we're going to look for, before we even cut it up, there's a few quality points you can look for when you buy a bird. So you want a nice dry skin, ideally. I generally don't like the chickens that are in the vac sealed bags. When you're roasting chicken, you want dry skin so it crisps up nicely. So you look for a nice dry skin. You probably can't touch it in a butcher shop or a supermarket, but you can see that there's not too much moisture on the surface there. I won't get too technical, but if you look at the knuckles on the legs here, these are nice and clear. There's no corrosion, that they've been kind of bred in dirt and things like that. So that's a good sign that it's a healthy bird. Nice plump breasts here, shows a good diet. So we'll begin under here. This is the collarbone. We call that a wishbone on a chicken. What you want to do is you take your cook's knife there, and can you hear that scratching noise? That's the collarbone here of the bird. So we want to remove that. You scratch it with the knife, and then you get your hand in there and you pull it out. And there's like a V. I'll hold it up. It's like a V there. You can pull it out with your hands. It's nothing to be scared of. That's the wishbone. You can leave it in, but if you take it out, when you take the two breasts off, you're not going to leave as much meat on the bone. So it's a little trick there, just to get the most out of your bird. We'll start by taking off the two legs, which are here. A whole leg is a Maryland that's made up of the thigh and the drumstick. Everyone following so far? Okay. So what we'll do, hold the drumstick. It's not going anywhere there. We'll cut down. And then using gravity is your good friend with a chicken. You'll go down there. And then this is a secret muscle called the oyster. Some people say that's the best part of the chicken. You see that little plump there? It's the shape of an oyster. Dislocate the thigh muscle from the rest of the backbone. And just pop it out like that. It's easy. Back to your gravity hanging position. And then you can cut round. Take the oyster out there. And you'll see there, you just scoop it out. And then you go along the backbone. You've dislocated the thigh from the thigh socket, so you don't need to cut through any bones there. Straight down, and that's one Maryland. Okay, you do exactly the same on the other side. Hold on to his little drumstick. Dislocate the thigh from the socket there. You see it pop out? Sounds worse than it is. Look for the little plump oyster muscle. It will plump up when you pull the leg back like that. Hang it. And then you take out that oyster. You don't have to do this, but this is the best way to utilize the bird, where you're not leaving so much meat on the actual carcass. Follow the backbone down, and you've got your other Maryland. Then you're left with what's called a crown of chicken, which is two breasts, not necessarily the wings, but that could be roasted as it is. What we'll do now is we'll just go down here and take the two breasts off. And because we've taken out that wishbone, it should just glide straight through. So what I usually do is hold it up so it's nice and plump, and you can see the breastbone down the middle there. Go down. Just a straight line there. and you've exposed some of the breastbone. And all you want to do is follow that round with a knife. Use it as a guide. You can wear gloves, but really, when you're doing this for the first time, it's good to feel where you're going. You can get to grips, literally get to grips with what you're doing. And then what I'll do is just remove those wings so they cook a bit evenly. So that's it. It sounds a lot harder than it is. So we need just half that onion there. You can just roughly chop that. It's just for the stock. Just into quarters will be fine. You can even leave the skin on. Thank you. So we're going to add this in now.
So, David, if we are making a chicken curry,
Yeah.
do you recommend skin or skin off the onion?
And then what we're going to do with these birds over here is just rub them with a bit of miso paste to give it a bit of a flavouring. You could do that overnight. And what it would do is break down the tissue of the meat. It will tenderize the meat and season it to the bone.
Medical practices happening Is it done?
That's perfect, you can leave that, yeah. This will also help with a bit of the caramelization of it. Best left overnight. It would taste even better. So these are gonna roast for about 30 minutes at 200 degrees, quite high Celsius, to get it nice and caramelized. Whilst they roast, we're gonna work on some rice and some sambal and some relish to go with it. Next, we're gonna work on the rice. So traditionally, the rice is cooked in the chicken stock for this recipe, just to give it some more flavor. We'll go with 2 cups into this bowl, and then we need to wash it with some cold water. Looks good. And then you've got some cold water here. If you pour that over and give it a little stir. So whilst that rice soaks and we'll drain that liquid before cooking it, I've got some pre-made chicken stock here, which is the same as the one we've made earlier. We're gonna go with 1.5 times the quantity of rice with chicken stock. And we wanna add it to the boiling stock. So we'll get that on the stove now. So how many cups of rice did you do there? And how many do I need with stock if it's 1.5 more? Do we have a mathematician in the house today? So 1.5 times the amount of stock to rice.
So it depends upon what type of rice as well.
This one today is basmati, yeah. In here, we've got some chicken stock. It already has garlic. We're gonna add a bit more salt as well. Bring that to the boil. This stock is not boiled yet, but it's coming right up. Then we're going to work on the relish. What's your name, sorry?
Misbah.
Misbah?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got a small saucepan on medium heat here. We're going to go with 3 of these spoons in there. And you'll have to watch it. 3 spoons in there for me. You keep stirring that for me. Then what we're going to do is add some chicken fat. So we're going to add some of that. So in total, we've got about a cup of oil. You can make this with just pure oil, but again, it's nice to use everything, not waste anything. The chicken fat has a good flavor. You feeling brave enough to pour that over there? Yeah, so I'll bring it over here. How does it look? Does it look nice?
Yeah.
I think it looks good. I think it looks better than mine. All right. What I would add is just a pinch of salt, because chefs do that for everything. It's a habit. Just a touch of salt. And then we'll taste that once it's cooled down. If you try it now, you might burn your mouth, but also the flavors are still kind of marrying together. So we'll let that cool down. We're kind of ending up with this as the finished salsa. Quick check of the chickens. I think you're good to go in with 2 tablespoons of the rice wine vinegar now. Would anyone like to put the sambal into the dish there? Now it's ready. If you're really unsure and a little bit paranoid and scared that the chicken's not cooked, you can just cut it in half and check that way. And you touch it on your lip, and if it's hot like that, you go, ow. Then it's cooked. But that's the fun way of doing it. Bit of pleasure, pain. And then we've sliced some radish that we got from the Torah, some cucumbers, with some of this leaf called shiso. More of a Japanese leaf, but it's added a nice pink colour and almost floral flavour to the dish. We're going to put that on there. We're going to slice a little bit of the chicken. Now it's cooked and coloured up. It's got a nice crust on the skin. And then I've got some greens here, just steamed in some chicken fat, obviously. A little bit of tamarai. That's about it. So that's the finished dish. And then we're going to go with a bit of the soup, which is here. Not too much. That's it, that's finished.